We're watching KAVU 25 News Now weekends at 5:30.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Seibel. There will be a road closure in Victoria this week as part of the SL 463 bridge widening construction project. There will be a night road closure on Houston Highway beneath the SL 463 overpass beginning tomorrow, Monday, December 18th at 10 p.m. throughout Tuesday, December 19th at 6 a.m. to pour part of the concrete bridge deck. This will be the first of several concrete bridge deck pours. Northbound traffic will be detoured onto John Stockbauer Drive. Southbound traffic will be detoured onto the SL 463 westbound frontage road. This project widens the existing 463 bridge spanning over Houston Highway and the railroad from a 2-lane overpass to a 4-lane overpass with widened shoulders. The project began in March of 2023 and the tentative completion is March of 2025. 4 former Industrial ISD students will face a court hearing December 19th. Braxton Warren, Zachary Kolchler, Christopher McCrory, and Colin Stumfull were indicted on charges of organized criminal assault. They stand accused of assaulting a younger player following a baseball game that took place on April 27th. The legal proceedings have been in motion since July when the former baseball players were charged with organized criminal assault. The hearing at the Jackson County Courthouse this week aimed to determine the future course of the case, which was moved to this week in December. The attorneys representing both sides in the legal matter have shared their opinion on the issue. The community awaits updates from the Jackson County Clerk's Office regarding the next steps in the case. The court hearing follows the arrest of those 4 in Jackson County. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and volunteers placed wreaths on the graves this weekend at the Texas State Cemetery. This is part of National Wreaths Across America Day. It's an event designed to honor our country's fallen heroes. Governor Abbott said we have the freedom to celebrate the holidays because of the sacrifices of those who served in the United States military.
None of us can ever fully repay the debt that we owe to all of the heroes who are buried right here at the cemetery. But what we can do is to honor their service and their sacrifice by blanketing their resting places with wreaths of remembrance.
According to the Wreaths Across America website, the organization and its network of volunteers placed more than 2.7 million wreaths on headstones at more than 3,700 locations across the nation last year. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code to vote right now. Did you honor a veteran for the Wreaths Across America event? Looks like 36% say yes and 64% say no. Thanks for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. All right, let's check in with meteorologist Trey Mining. Talk weather on this Sunday night. Trey, it feels a little bit cooler out there. How's it looking for the rest of the day and this week?
Yeah, so it has that cool feel to the air, low humidity, with temperatures waking up time tomorrow morning more than likely in the 40s once again. Clear skies, nice beautiful view from Cuero ISD weather camera there. Beautiful sunset, and eventually we'll start seeing clouds return to our forecast before too much longer, and then the rain chances start up again. We'll take a look at that coming out a little bit later on in the full forecast. Adam?
All right, thanks, Trey. The Angel Tree Christmas distribution was underway this weekend. Parents lined up and received toys and clothing and bicycles for their children to help fill up their Christmas tree. The Salvation Army of Victoria wanted to say thank you to all those who adopted an angel, to all of their donors and sponsors for helping this happen. Monday will be their Teen Santa shopping spree at Target. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin in the Middle East Sunday, hoping to discuss a timetable for winding down the intense combat phase of the Israel-Hamas war, but Israel has vowed to continue until complete victory. Meanwhile, as the humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues to worsen, a second border crossing to allow humanitarian aid opened today.
Plumes of thick smoke seen rising over Gaza's skyline as Israel's war against Hamas continues. In the border city of Rafah, aid thrown to crowds in the streets, others chasing the trucks as boxes fell onto the road. Aid starting to move through a second border crossing between Israel and Gaza on Sunday. Officials hoping it'll double the amount of humanitarian relief getting to those desperately in need. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin traveling to Israel Monday, meeting with Israeli officials hoping to discuss Israel's next steps in the war. According According to the Hamas-run health ministry, more than 18,000 people have died in Gaza. President Biden weighing in.
I want them to be focused on how to save civilian lives. Not stop going after Hamas, but be more careful.
But some say his message to Israel is not getting through.
We continue to see unacceptably high levels of civilian casualties. And when it comes to the humanitarian crisis, we still have a near total siege.
Meanwhile, protesters taking to the streets of Tel Aviv demanding answers after Israel's defense forces accidentally killed 3 hostages in Gaza. The men identified as 28-year-old Yotam Haim, 26-year-old Alon Shemritz, and 22-year-old Samer Talalka. According to an IDF official, the men left a building in an area of very intense fighting. They were shirtless so they wouldn't be suspected of having explosives and were carrying a stick with a white cloth. A soldier saw them as a threat and opened fire. Shemritz laid to rest on Sunday, his distraught mother saying, "You survived 70 days in hell. Another moment and you were in my arms." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appearing to suggest on Saturday that new Qatar-mediated negotiations were underway to recover hostages still held by Hamas, while also pledging to destroy Hamas. But Hamas has said there will be no further hostage releases until the war ends. Inez de la Quatera, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
The race for the White House now, and GOP hopefuls are descending on the early primary state of New Hampshire, despite former President Trump's commanding lead in the polls.
Former President Donald Trump campaigning in New Hampshire, sounding as confident as ever.
Whatever happened to the bounce? You know, with Nikki, they talk about the surge.
Mocking his GOP primary opponents, who he called backstabbing establishment losers, for trailing in the polls. His speech peppered with personal insults, at one point calling New Hampshire's popular Republican governor a spoiled brat. Governor Chris Sununu this week endorsing Nikki Haley, saying she can not only win his state but deliver a Republican landslide. Beyond his rivals, Trump upped his attacks on immigrants, with highly offensive white nationalist language, evoking similar language to Nazi propaganda about the purity of the country's, quote, blood.
We've been putting everybody first except America.
Trump's crowd full of fervent fans.
But does former President Trump have your vote?
Yes.
Did you consider any of the other candidates?
No.
Also in state this weekend, Ron DeSantis saying he thinks Trump will try to delegitimize any results in early states if he does not win.
If Trump loses, he will say it's stolen no matter what.
Grab your cell phone, scan this QR code. That's a quick response code to download our free app, Crossroads Today app. Watch us anytime, anywhere, and get breaking news alerts and vote in our viewer polls, and learn about our ongoing contest and submit news tips, videos, and photos. Stay with us. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5:30. The CDC saying flu and COVID cases are climbing, and some hospitals are seeing an increase in patients.
Okay, temperatures currently in the 60s near 70 degrees, and that'll continue to fall throughout the rest of the night with the low humidity radiation for cooling. What about tomorrow? And what about rain chances for next week? Got you covered coming up.
Concerns as the holiday season kicks into high gear. The CDC saying flu and COVID cases are climbing, and some hospitals are seeing an increase in patients.
This morning, respiratory illnesses on the rise across the country, including flu, COVID, and RSV, just as Americans begin to gather for the holidays.
People are getting sick, and people are also gathering indoors and at risk of spreading those germs to one another.
Data from the CDC shows at least 17 states are seeing high or very high levels of respiratory activity. Nationally, flu-related ER visits are increasing, and in the Midwest, hospital admissions overall are up.
RSV appears to be peaking in some parts of the country, but we are still seeing a lot of cases. Influenza, like it usually does, is running wild, and COVID-19 hospitalizations have been up for the past 5 weeks.
Officials at Janet Wise Children's Hospital in Danville, Pennsylvania, say they're at capacity, but doing whatever they can to make sure they can take in more young patients.
We have the ability to take some of our older youngsters, like 16, 17-year-olds, and if we have adult beds, we're able to facilitate those.
Dr. Frank Maffei telling us they're seeing an influx of children coming in with respiratory illnesses.
We are seeing a lot of volume. And perhaps from places that we hadn't seen before. So this really is something that we're going to have to deal with.
Millions of Americans are set to take to the skies and hit the roads as they prepare to gather with family and friends this holiday season. The busiest travel day is expected to be later this week, but for those who thought they'd avoid the crowds and traffic by traveling this weekend, a winter storm along the East Coast complicated things a bit.
With just 1 week to go until Christmas Eve, airlines are bracing for what's expected to be the busiest holiday travel season ever.
Yeah, I'm excited, and but we're gonna have to wait in long lines, but it's fine.
More than 39 million passengers expected to fly between December 20th and January 2nd, according to Airlines for America. That's an increase of 16% over the past year. United and Delta expecting around 9 million passengers each. American expecting the biggest rush, with close to 13 million people flying over the next few weeks. The busiest travel days will be this Thursday through Saturday, and travelers can expect crowded airports, long lines, and possible disruptions. For those planning to drive this holiday, there's good news at the pump. According to Gas Buddy, gas prices are at the lowest they've been this year, but those drivers can expect lots of company on the roads. AAA is predicting 104 million people will be driving to their destinations, and for those who tried to beat the rush by traveling this weekend, a wet and windy storm causing some treacherous driving conditions.
Look, they're barricading it. I don't want to go through this.
Heavy rain leading to flash flooding in South Carolina Sunday. Nearly 8 inches of rain fell near Charleston, prompting a flash flood emergency. This white SUV losing control, slamming into a telephone pole in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Streets in Hollywood Beach flooded, disrupting plans for some.
We're gonna have a nice getaway, and this is our nice getaway, but it is what it is, you know?
That storm now expected to impact the Monday morning commute in the Northeast.
The bulk of the moisture shows up between midnight tonight and 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
For more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com where you can submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Strain will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise, and you could submit a local military hero so we can recognize them.
And relatively mild temperatures on the outside 60s and some 50s coming up before too much longer. Then we've got them down in the 40s by the time you wake up early tomorrow morning. And what does next week bring? Looks like some rain chances. I'll give you details coming up in your forecast.
My favorite holiday song is Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell.
1, 2, 3. Feliz Navidad. Ba, 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 ba. Santa baby, come put a sable under the tree for me.
Oh yeah, last Christmas I gave you my heart.
And so I was singing, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Masters in this hall.
Masters in this hall, hear me today. Something, something, something.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Silent Night, honestly. That's a classic. Silent Night.
Always cry.
Holy night. That's too good.
Because my favorite Christmas song is the one where it's like, chestnuts roasting by an open fire. But the one with Justin Bieber.
From all of us here at 25 News Now,
Happy holidays.
Good evening, good evening. Trey Mining here on this Sunday evening. Beautiful day today, sunny skies, a little bit on the cool side. That's going to continue until your day Monday, and then changes down the road after that. Current temperatures pretty much in the 60s, 50s along the immediate coast, a little bit of sea breeze down there. Near 70 from Yoakum area to Gonzales. They'll be falling before too much longer because of the clear skies, low humidity, and the lack of cloud cover. It's in our forecast area today. So temperatures waking up tomorrow morning will be in the 40s more than likely, 50s by later on this morning, 40s by early tomorrow morning for your day on Monday. So grab your coat, your sweater on the way out as you go throughout the morning times on your Monday. Then rising fairly rapidly as the sun comes up for your day tomorrow. Temperatures once again near 70 degrees. And this will continue for the time being, Monday to Tuesday more than likely, then change down the road as that pressure begins to move further to the east with time, taking the cool air with it. Currently on the outside, sunny skies, a few high clouds time to time. There went right there past Cedar, that's way on the Gulf of Mexico now. Replace that with high pressure still dominating our weather here. Northerly flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere keeping us on the dry side. Front way out in the Gulf of Mexico headed toward the state of Florida, pretty much over the state of Florida now and headed up the east coast. So no problems for us, that's in our past. But we're looking downstream to the west for the next storm system. See some of the cloud cover moving into Arizona and Utah and Nevada as we speak. This will be in our neighborhood coming up by the latter half of the week with enough moisture returning to give us some rain chances by then. Take a look at the future tracker. There's a storm off the east coast. Everyone from New England down to Florida was impacted by this large storm here, moving out to the Atlantic Ocean as we speak. High pressure ridge over the desert southwest will continue to give us dry conditions around here from the day today, tomorrow, and more than likely on Tuesday as well. This high pressure ridge is kind of a slow mover, so it's not allowing this storm off the west coast to get any traction to the east fairly quickly, but it will begin to do so as high pressure edges to the east coming up by about Tuesday or Wednesday or so. The flow around the high will bring back the moisture and allow this storm here to be in our neighborhood coming up by about Thursday or Friday or so with some chances of heavy rainfall. Maybe a little bit of that. No, it's not seeing severe weather as of yet, but that could be changing, of course. If you're going down to Port O'Connor today, tomorrow, there's your high and low tide, northerly easterly winds, 5 to 15 knots, 2-foot seas, slight chop in area bay waters, water temperature a mighty chilly 62 degrees. I wouldn't want to get in that water. It's way too cold. For your forecast for Port Lavaca tonight, lows in the 40s, near 70 for your day tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, 50s or so by the evening hour, 6 o'clock or so. Going up to Cuero, about the same. Temperatures starting off in the 40s, and then we're seeing temperatures near 70 degrees for the daytime high, with a few clouds in the forecast. Otherwise, sunny skies will again prevail. And then for Victoria, about the same as well. Northerly winds, lows in the low 40s coming up, highs in the 70-degree range by 4 o'clock in the afternoon or so. An extended forecast for us looks pretty good, at least for the first half of the week. Highs in the 70s overall. No real cold air anytime soon. There are the rain chances beginning Thursday and lasting through the weekend with that slow-moving storm system out in the western coast, western part of the United States currently headed toward us by middle part of the week. Overnight lows once again in the 40s and 50s. So a little cool mornings, mild throughout the day, and plentiful sunshine coming up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at least, and maybe most of Thursday. Check this out right here. This is the QR code. Get your smartphone, scan the code, and that'll take you to a web page where you can be connected with us. News, weather, and sports at your fingertips on your mobile phone, and it's free of charge to do so. Adam?
Thanks, Trey. And here's a look at what's coming up on 25 Sports Now. The Texans without C.J. Stroud and needing a win. Did they do it? I'll have that in sports. No C.J. Stroud, no problem for the Houston Texans, who were without a lot of firepower today. The Texans surprised a lot of people and opted to start Houston Cougars legend Case Keenum instead of Davis Mills. Keenum, with an early disaster, throws a pick-six, dooming the Texans, who certainly could not afford that in a day like today. But the recently Firebaron had most of the Houston offense, including the game winner. As time expired in overtime, Houston now at 8-6 on the year, trying to scratch and claw their way into the postseason. Now on to one of the most anticipated games of the night, the Cowboys at the Bills in Buffalo. Going into the game, the Cowboys have already clinched a playoff spot due to the Falcons' loss earlier today, while the Bills are in the hunt. The Bills set the tone early, marching down the field on the opening drive. Latavius Murray capped it off with a 2-yard touchdown run, putting the Bills on the board first. But the Bills didn't stop there. In the early moments of the second quarter, Josh Allen connected with James Cook for a touchdown pass to put the Bills up 14-0. Eventually, the Cowboys would respond with a 32-yard field goal from Brandon Aubrey. But Josh Allen and the Bills marched down the field and scored right before the hand and haven't looked back. And here are some of the first half stats. The Bills have 210 total yards, while the Cowboys have only 89. Dak Prescott is 6 for 13 for 43 yards. Tony Pollard has 7 carries and 33 yards, and CeeDee Lamb has 3 receptions for 33 yards. The score is now 31-3 with the Buffalo Bills beating Dallas. The Patriots taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are fresh off a tough loss to the Bills. Victoria East alumni Bailey Zappi got the nod under center again for the New England Patriots. The Chiefs find themselves fighting for playoff positioning and brought their A game. They lead 14-10 at the half and opened up the game with 13 points. Zappi on the day sold out. He was 23 of 31 for 180 yards and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes did what he always does. He was 27 of 37 for over 300 yards. The Chiefs get back in the win column and improve to 9-5. The Patriots are now 3-11 on the year. The Texas Tech Red Raiders ended their season with a bang, pounding California last night in the Independence Bowl. It was the Red Raiders' third consecutive bowl game victory. The year wasn't super kind to them as they finished 7th in the Big 12, but this was a nice way to end it. The Red Raider defense was stout in the win after allowing 14 first-quarter points. They pitched a shutout while scoring 34. They also won 4 of their 5 last games. Stay with us. Coming up, strong winds and heavy rain across Florida affecting some popular boat parades and holiday celebrations. We want to invite you to experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Strong winds and heavy rain across Florida affected some popular boat parades and holiday celebrations that were scheduled for this weekend. The city of Fort Lauderdale announced on Facebook that the Seminole Hard Rock Winterfest boat parade had been canceled due to strong winds. Wind gusts up to 45 miles per hour were expected, creating hazardous boating conditions. That's the first time in its 52-year history that's been canceled for weather. People come from around the country for the event. Business owners are disappointed too. The parade usually brings in roughly $50 million to the local economy. Towns across Florida postponing or even canceling holiday events and boat parades. I'm surprised it's been going on for 52 years. That's the first time they've had to cancel.
Well, things happen sometimes.
Yeah, I figured they've been cancellations here and there, but I guess they're making the right call.
Quite a record. That's not really a hurricane or tropical storm as we think of it. It's kind of a mixture between a continental system and a tropical system, so it's kind of unusual in the way that that's kind of spun up in the Gulf.
Oh, that it's this time of year, or just
right, this time of year and how it was formed.
Well, they probably made the right call because they don't want to be out on the water.
It's better be safe than sorry.
Definitely. Well, any windy conditions here?
Not really, maybe 20-mile-per-hour gusts at best, and nothing like they experienced over there in Florida. Sunny skies in the next several days, including your Monday, with temperatures near 70 degrees, pretty much keeping it on the mild side overall. Lows on the chilly side in the morning times, 50s and 60s with the forecast period. We do see some rain entering our forecast late in the week, Thursday, Friday. As a slow-moving system moves on through, it could be rain chances over the weekend as well. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, looking like we'll have a beautiful, marvelous Monday to start off the week.
Well, it looks like a beautiful week. Thanks, Trey, for making it happen.
I'll do what I
know
can.
You control the weather. Well, you do a great job, so thank you, Trey. Thank you for joining us. And remember to join us tonight for 25 News Now at 10.